Good morning, everybody. So, where last we left off, we were at the Dred Scott decision of 1857, very controversial decision made by the Supreme Court. So, let's continue. So, the court ruled that Scott was not a U.S. citizen, therefore he had no right to sue the government. And also, the court ruled that slaves were property, so the federal government could not exclude property from any territory. Be the same thing as saying people can't own a house, because they equated slaves and other forms of property as the same. So, like I said, very controversial call. And out of this very controversial call, you had one of the most outspoken members of the Republican Party start come out and condemning not only the Dred Scott decision, but every other decision regarding slavery, and that man was Abraham Lincoln. So you had Abraham Lincoln. He was up for the Illinois Senate seat. He was running for the U.S. Senate against a man named Stephen Douglas. Stephen Douglas was a Democrat. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. So they agreed to debate each other about 7 times. Yeah, 7 debates. And that format has actually stayed with us to presidential debates, because usually we just go for 3 nowadays. So, as we keep going, the issue of slavery was the main theme in the debates. Excuse me. Douglas won the election, but Lincoln gained national attention. His name was in the papers. People all over, like the North and the South, had heard of him. Southerners, of course, were very reticent, very kind of scared of Lincoln with his outspoken fire against slavery, and the Northern Republicans were very much in favor of him, loved his speeches, and they thought maybe finally we've got a champion against slavery. So they started to ascribe to the Freeport Doctrine. Douglas' position on slavery was basically the same as every other Democrat up to this point, which is let the people decide. The people are going to decide, and if the people want to exclude slavery, they'll pass laws that will exclude slavery from that territory. If they want to have slavery, well, then they'll pass laws that will allow it to continue. Let the people decide. Again, it's just kind of like passing the buck on to somebody else. The Democratic Party did not want to make a decision either way, because they were very concerned about preserving the Union at any cost, even the cost of the issue of slavery. So this is an actual quote from Stephen Douglas. The people have the lawful means to introduce it or exclude it as they please, for the reason that slavery cannot exist a day or an hour anywhere unless it is supported by local police regulations. Those police regulations can only be established by a local legislature. So basically, if the people are opposed to slavery, they'll pass laws that will make it difficult to have slaves. If they want to have it, they'll pass laws that make it easy to have slaves. Simple as that. And that was the Freeport Doctrine that Stephen Douglas ascribed to. So, what do you think about do you think that most people would try to go towards outlawing slavery? Do you think, do you think it would be another Bleeding Kansas situation where people would try to keep one-upping each other on votes and laws to try to get their version of society passed? I mean, what do you think is going to go down? We might do a flip grid at some point so we can get kind of a digital discussion of this issue. Of course, coming up very soon, we're going to be talking about our old friend John Brown again and his raid on Harper's Ferry, Virginia. Sadly, that is all the time we have today, or at least for this session. Maybe I'll see you soon. Have a good morning.